Hello everyone, I wanted to go over the Reading for Understanding activity for this week, which is activity number 6. So as you'll see here, we want to click here for the assignment instructions. So this will be a separate Google link, and then the actual activity you'll be doing is an embedded Google Doc. So we're going to click on this and it'll open up another tab. And then it's going to look very familiar to the activities that you completed and submitted. But for this one, you won't be submitting this document, this colored one. It'll just be the editable article, and I'll show you that. But this includes the instructions. So when you're working on both, I recommend having both tabs open. All right, so for this activity, we're reading for understanding, and at the end of this activity, we will be able to analyze Greenblatt's main arguments by summarizing and discussing sections of the text in order to identify the possible thesis. So when reading a new text, proficient readers slow down and summarize sections that they read. The purpose of this activity is to slow down while reading and summarize the meaning of each section, which supports basic comprehension and also helps to identify the thesis. You have probably heard of the term thesis before in your English classes. We also call this like the main idea, main argument, what the author is saying, his purpose, right? We call that the thesis. And one of the activities or one of the techniques that we're practicing is active reading. And active reading is the process of engaging with the text that we are reading. Rather than reading from a passive position, active readers question the text and the validity of the arguments the author makes. Furthermore, when we read actively, we capture the author's main ideas, make connections to our own lives, and ask questions to help us think deeper about the text content. Sounds a lot like annotating, right? We're questioning the text, we're working with the text, and those kind of questions and capturing the main ideas are stuff that we would write in the margin, or in this case, highlight and make a comment on the Google Doc. So during the first read, you will apply the concept of active reading while you read Greenblatt's article. As you read, and then this is where the directions come in that you'll be doing on the article in the separate tab that I'll show you. So you're going to highlight any ideas that you are confused about in yellow. Write your question as a comment within the Google Doc, and we right-click and hit comment. So I'm going to do that directly on here just to show you guys. So for question, I would highlight it, right-click or double-click depending on your computer, and I would go right up here and I would hit comment. And then from there, I could type directly in and just be like, is this true or just an opinion? All right, so then that way we are engaging with the text, and then it's going to float right here, and I should be able to see that within your guys' Google Docs when you submit it here on Schoology. Next, we're going to highlight the points that seem to be main ideas in green. And write your ideas, thoughts, and reactions to the text as comments. So again, we're going to right-click and hit comment. And for anyone who's confused about how to highlight in a Google Doc, let's say I wanted to highlight this right here. You would go and drag your mouse, and then you would go up to this top toolbar, and you're going to click this little paintbrush icon. You're going to click on that, and then you would hit this, like whatever color you want to do for that. Great. And then, so there's two main things we're looking for: yellow for ideas that we're confused about, green for ideas that we think are the main ideas of the article, what the author is actually arguing. What is he saying? All right. So in terms of applying, this is bringing it to the article that we'll be working on. So now it's time. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So this will be the first read, right? So we're going to go through and do that first read. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to ahead of myself. And we're going to click on the Greenblatt editable article. So you're going to open that up because we're going to have to read it twice. So during this first read, you're just reading it through once. And I already highlighted some of the things in here. They are the academic words that I want you guys to focus on. And if you don't know the meaning of them, you can always right-click and hit look up. That'll help to find them for you guys. So you're going to go through and read this article, and then remember highlighting sentences or phrases in yellow that we are confused by, and then we are highlighting things that we believe are the main idea in green. So let's start for this first paragraph, for example. So Justin McNall grew up in a hurry. By the time he was 23, McNall had graduated from college, married, and gone to work for his local police force in Virginia. But McNall, now 36, still bristles at the memory of something he wasn't allowed to do at 23. Go down to the airport counter and rent a car. I've been involved in police pursuits at more than 100 miles per hour, he says, and yet they still wouldn't rent me a car. So if I was commenting on this and I was doing the active reading, let's say I was like, well, that's super weird. Like, why wouldn't they let him rent a car if, even though he was 23, and I know you have to be 26 to rent a car, it doesn't make any sense for him to be a police officer who's usually in dangerous situations, driving in a hot pursuit or a car chase at 100 miles per hour, but not able to rent their own car. So I would highlight that in yellow because I'm confused. And then I would right click a comment and be like, isn't this ironic? So when you guys are making comments, and because this is for yourself and your engagement with the text, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a full complete sentence, right? It can just be like, isn't that ironic? Or like, that's weird, or wow, like I never knew that, or something like that, right? But we also want to question the text, or like, oh my gosh, I can relate directly to this. Like this, I've seen this in my own life. So again, yellow, ideas that we are confused by, and green, ideas that we think are the main idea. So once we have done that for the whole article, we're going to go back to the instructions. This is where I got ahead of myself first. And we're going to go to the apply section. So now it's time for our second read. So that first read was when we went through and highlighted and added comments. For the second read, we're going to reread the article. And this time we're going to summarize each section concisely in 1 or 2 sentences. So write your summary in the box below the section, and you will complete your summaries directly within the Greenblatt article because we made a copy of it, right? And we're going to submit the article, I said along with this activity, but you're just going to submit that editable article in Schoology. Not this. These are just the directions, just that editable article in Schoology. And a reminder, be sure to complete section summaries for Activity 7. We will be doing Activity 8 next week, and so you'll see that each of the little boxes are split with Activity 7 and Activity 8. Just do Activity 7. So I want to show you how I would perform a section summary for this. So we'll reread this section together. So Justin McNall grew up in a hurry. By the time he was 23, McNall had graduated from college, married, and gone to work for his local police force in Virginia. But McNall, now 36, still bristles at the memory of something he wasn't allowed to do at 23. Go down to the airport counter and rent a car. I've been involved in police pursuits at more than 100 miles per hour, he says, and yet they still wouldn't rent me a car. To many young people, rental car restrictions are more than an annoyance. They're also a confusing contradiction in terms of what society expects of them. After all, states trust people to drive at a much younger age. Most states issue driver's license to persons as young as 16 years old. Yet, nearly a decade must pass before the same person can earn the trust of Hertz or Avis. And then, as you'll see here, there's a little subscript. Hertz or Avis, they're just rental car companies, like, I don't know, Enterprise or like whatever. So a section summary follows the section directly before. So you'll see that this is section A, and then we have a section summary, and that's what it's looking at for you to do. So you're going to summarize the section directly above. And in your directions, I have a sample summary for section A. So this sample summary says, at 23, police officer Justin McNall could pursue lawbreakers at 100 miles per hour but couldn't rent a car. This is one example of the contradictory, confusing expectations states often place on young people when it comes to the age of responsibility. So again, I said it was supposed to be 1 to 2 sentences. This is 2 sentences, and we captured the main idea. We got Justin McNall, the police officer, who was able to speed at high, car chases, but wasn't able to rent a car. And then I explained why is that significant. So why is it significant he wasn't able to rent a car? Because it shows an example of how contradictory and confusing the expectations can be in terms of what we consider an adult in this country. So you're going to go through this article, and you're going to do that for each section. Right? Some of them are longer than the others, but again, 1 to 2 sentences, and you're only going to be putting it here. So you can type directly into this. But leave the descriptive outline, activity 8. That's something that we are going to be doing next week. So this is all you're responsible for in this activity. So by the end of this, before you submit it into Schoology, you're just submitting this article, not the directions. These are just the directions. So you'll be submitting this article along with your highlights in yellow, your highlights in green, and the section summaries for each section. 1 to 2 sentences each. And then you'll submit that in Schoology via a Google document. All right, thank you.